what? Tell me about what typical day in your household looked like when you were a teenager.
Okay. Go ahead.
Wow. Typical day that our household, Mom was working at that time, so she got up and left for the day. So we were pretty much on our own. We just got up and fixed breakfast and then walked up the road to get on the bus. At that time, that was about when the bus quit coming in front of our house. It was up on the highway. It wasn't like a big trek or anything, but you had to walk up there and you had to make sure you were there on time and all of that. So we got dressed by ourselves. Now, Mom put me in school early, and she lied about my age because she got an opportunity for a job up at the state nursery, and so I went in school as a 4.5-year-old, and that's kind of set me up to be insecure about my place. Because I was told that if they found out that I was too young to be in school, that then they would kick me out. So I had to be good, and I had to study and have that. I was precocious, and so it wasn't a big deal as far as I learned easily. I was an oldest child who was on my own basically from the time we were born, practically. So, but anyway, so that we didn't have, what are we talking about, traditions?
Like general day in the life.
Yeah, school, that's right. And then we went to school. My mom and dad never came to any activities that we had. So that was kind of a shame issue for me. Because Janice didn't care. She was 2 years younger, so she didn't care either way. And she was adorable and cute. We were both blonde, cute kids. So we both got a lot of attention. Only Janice was the youngest, so she was just sweeter and nicer and everything, but not as good in school.
Oldest children have a way of being a little different.
Yeah, we do. We do. So we, I don't know, as far as activities, traditions, are we talking about?
So after you were done with school, what happened next?
Well, when we'd come home, and most of the time the fire had gone out. Well, this was wood stove living, and for pretty much everybody. So the first thing we do is build fire, and then as it started to warm up, we'd sit on top of the stove, because it had kind of a wire or a metal rack over the top. So we sit on top of the stove until it got warm enough for us to get down and be in the house. They didn't have, we were just on our own. So I don't know, at that time when we were in school, my grandfather was either very ill or dead. So my grandmother was kind of on her own, and I don't know. So she couldn't take care of us. So we were on our own. I don't know. We just had our fire. That was about it.
Okay, at my house, well, things changed when I became a teenager, because up until I was 12 or 13, Mom was always in the house. Of course, we're on the dairy farm.
Right.
So Dad started his work day at 4:30 in the morning, and he come in from milking at 7:30 at night. So that was his day on the farm. He was always there. And Mom always cooked 3 meals a day. We had a good breakfast cooked, and then we had lunch that was cooked. And lunch a lot of times was meat and potatoes dinner, and then an evening meal. And then before we went to bed, we often had snacks before we went to bed. But she cooked 3 meals a day. So then when she went to work, she worked at the prison above Little Rock as a cook. And her schedule was that she worked 4 days in a row, and she stayed up there the whole time. So she never came home. So she would be gone for 4 days, and then there was only 4 of us kids there, sometimes 5, that we had to cook for. And so I pretty much did a lot of the cooking. Tina helped me a lot, but we did the cooking. Mom had casseroles or something set aside, but we still had to put things together, set the table, and we all sat down, even at that time, and had meals together. And then we cleared the table and did all the dishes and that sort of thing. So that was our routine until Mom was home from the 3 days that she was at home. And she then cooked the meals and took care of it. But she had a lot of things prepared, so it wasn't that difficult, other than breakfast. But I had to cook breakfast. I cooked breakfast most of the time. And we'd have hot cakes or scrambled eggs or stuff like that. Then, let's see, are we talking tradition still?
No, a day in the life.
Day in the life. Oh, yeah, well, that changed when she went there. Then our schedule at home was, of course, Dad went out to milk, and he came in from milking at 7 o'clock in the morning. So we had to have breakfast ready at 7 o'clock. So we'd eat breakfast at 7 o'clock. Lunch was always at noon, and we always ate at 5 o'clock because he went back out to milk at 5:30. So our schedule was always that way all the time I lived there at home. He milked there for, I think, around 40 years. So every day the schedule was exactly the same.
And that's when we patterned our eating time.
Right.
We took on that time schedule. And of course, I'd never had a schedule.
And then as a teenager, after I came home from school, I always went for a walk after school, just to kind of clear my head. And normally where we lived, I could walk down to the river, and it's all just out in either pasture land, timberland, creeks and rivers and sloughs in the wintertime. The backwater came up, and so we always had, within 50 feet of the house, a lake that we could paddle for about a mile. And so that was always something that we were playing in. So I would check the high water. I'd go down to the river. Every night after school, I'd go for a walk. So that was part of it, unless it was really miserable. And I always had a project of one sort or another, because I built my own bicycle when I was about 10 or 11 from spare parts that I got from the neighbors. And then, so we rode bicycles a lot. But most of the time I hiked after school, and even in high school. Then in high school, I got involved with cars. I like cars. So I bought my first car when I was 15. And it was not really a car. You were talking about riding and...
Right, just a frame.
Yeah, I had a Model A frame, engine, frame, 4 wheels, stick shift, no floor,
Right.
and a like an Adirondack chair for a seat, and that was it. And a gas tank bolted onto the back. So we drove that all over. But I got more stories to tell later on about that. But always had something going. Put a motor on my bicycle, and used that for years to ride back and forth to the blueberry patch when I was picking berries. And that was at early age, because I was driving truck in a hayfield at 14. So Anyway, full of activities.